Welcome to Armchair Expert. I'm Dax Shepard. I'm joined by Monica Padman.
And some elves.
And there's some elves running around the attic, and they have those cute little slippers on with the little sleigh bells on them, and they're just prancing around here and making all kinds of... Guys, stop it!
Okay, be gentle on
Okay, sorry.
them.
Sometimes the elves, they start off cute, you like them, and then they get under your skin a little bit.
They get rowdy.
Their cuteness wears off because you start realizing they're 48 years old, the elves.
Yeah.
They look like children.
Once you start looking at their faces and see their features,
Wrinkles, sunspots.
it's unnerving.
Today, Sean P. Hayes, who you love on Will and Grace, been nominated for 1 million Emmys. You'll find out exactly how many in the fact check.
So funny.
The sweetest, most generous, kind-hearted gentleman, truly a good friend of Kristen and I's and yours, a beautiful man. Please enjoy Sean Hayes.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
Hi, Sean Hayes.
Hi.
Welcome to Armchair Expert. We were just learning a lot of interesting stuff about you. One of them is that you have a pending PT appointment, physical therapy at 4.
This is very exciting to talk about.
I think a lot of fans of Will and Grace will want to know that you have a physical therapist you need to see.
Sure, yeah.
What's the injury?
Well, thanks. I'm glad you asked. It's my right knee.
Okay.
Yeah, I was hosting the Ellen DeGeneres talk show.
Oh, filling in for her?
Yep.
Or is it your show now?
Well, that's what I thought was going to happen.
Sure, we all do, right?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And then Kristen actually did it the next day. After I was-
Did they give her the job?
Yeah, I think they get. Well, I don't know if that's something Ellen does or not. She just says, "Hey, do you want to do my show now for not permanently?" And then you go, "Yeah," and then you don't hear from her.
A rhetorical question.
It's a rhetorical question. It's like, "How do you feel? Is it cold in here?"
Yeah. It is. Do you find it cold in here?
in here.
Oh, you and Monica are going to get along.
Yes,
Two
it's
peas
too
in a
cold.
pod.
Do you know opera at all?
I've been to one opera.
Well, that's the end of that conversation.
So, yep, the end.
There's a famous
Madame Butterfly?
opera by a guy named his last name is Menotti,
Okay.
and it's called The Medium.
Okay.
And in it, there's a famous aria, and it goes, "Monica, Monica, dance the waltz." Did we lose listeners?
Oh, well, yeah, they all just flipped over to a
You didn't
different...
lose
yeah.
me.
They're listening to Joe Rogan now.
Intrigued.
This got a little too gay for me, is what they said.
Well,
I almost thought for a second you were making that up because when you go, Monica, Monica, I heard the D,
Yeah.
and I'm like, no, it's Dax is coming next. You're gonna act like there's an opera.
Your brain works faster than mine.
No, I don't think that's
It
the
works
case.
more egotistical than yours.
Yes.
Dax's does?
Yeah.
Egocentrically. But first I was like, opera, that's Italian, right? Isn't in general operas are Italian? They sing in it. For real.
By the way, we're not talking about opera today.
No, yeah, well,
We can. It's
That
2
was a
hours.
stream of conscious. Whenever I hear the name Monica, that's the name. That's the song I think of.
on my way here, I was like, things I want to get to.
Get to.
Don't care about your personal story.
Absolutely
Not the meteoric rise of your TV show.
Who cares about any of that?
I gotta know what he thinks about opera.
And then as you're on your motorcycle.
Yeah, it's like I'll be a failure if he leaves without telling us about opera.
Right. Well, it's what
No, but aren't they? They're all sung in Italian, aren't they?
No, not all operas are in Italian. There's French ones, there's German ones, there's American ones, there's Spanish ones.
Am I completely bonkers though that's the history of it? That even
I think that's what people associate. There's probably I don't know the answer to that. There's
Okay.
probably a majority of operas that are in Italian.
Oh, so you're just like Monica. It's like 99% of people can be something. And if I say, oh, they're all blank, she's like, that's not true.
Yeah.
1% of the people aren't.
Factual.
Factual. I like to operate in stereotypes because it just cuts time down.
Listen, we all got places to be.
Absolutely. If I got to worry about the exception to every rule,
PT.
I will never be able to make a point.
Right.
You know? If I say tall white guys are entitled.
So let me
And
ask
you go, no, I met one who wasn't. Oh, great. Congratulations. In general, tall white guys are entitled. You know?
That's true. Look who's in the White House.
Yeah. Well, okay. How tall is he? Okay, so but you know a lot about musical theater, opera, all those things because I don't know that people know this about you, but you majored in college in music. You wanted to be a composer of film scores.
Yeah, I did. I wanted to do that, and I studied piano since I was 5 and probably studied about 20 years. And then I can't play nearly as well as I used to because there's no reason. I have no outlet to play. You know, I used to run around parties and if people knew I played the piano, like, oh, play something.
Yeah.
Nothing stops a party faster than a nice classical piece.
Yeah.
Because that's all I studied. They thought I was like, I'm going to jam, you know, rock, jazz.
Yeah, Billy Joel or something.
Yeah, something like that. I'm like, I don't.
Brenda and Eddie were the popular steadies, the king and the queen of the prom.
yeah, exactly. And so I was like, you know, and they're like, okay, well, maybe we'll ask Sean.
Great party.
Yeah.
Now, but I would disagree in my own personal anecdotal experience at your house, which is numerous occasions you and my wife have sat down at the piano and played. One time I brought my mom too, and you guys, you'll start playing and singing, and I will start crying. And I looked over at my mom, and she was fully crying too. I find truly, I find it to be one of the more moving things. Even like a dead person like me is so moved by that. When you watch two human beings. One opens up their mouth and it falls out. And then another person just moves their hands.
Right.
And like emotion and art just is generated by two human beings. When you see it, and I'm not a lofty person, I'm not being saccharine, to watch two humans, two monkeys, two primates sit down and look at each other, click their fingers, and then fucking just this tidal wave of melody and emotion pour out of both of you. You'd have to be dead to not feel it.
Well, thanks. You know, my anxiety takes over because, you know, I have a lot of it. And
it's one of your sexiest features.
That's why I'm sitting here naked during this podcast. And the caretaker in me takes over. It's like, oh, I can't imagine anybody finds anything I say, do, or any talent I have interesting.
Yeah.
You know, I just assume that is boring. So why would anybody want to hear me play the piano? It's so boring. It's so fucking boring.
Right.
To so many people. And so I start from there.
Sure.
Well,
there's no place but up from there. It's a pretty safe place to start from.
So if somebody says like play something, or I'm just like, okay, here's 10 seconds of something. Because I'm mostly right about that. Because
meaning people don't like it?
Yeah, nobody wants. I'm pretty in tune with people's attention spans and level of interest of anything anybody has to say or do at any given time. So you know what I mean? Because most people aren't interested. Most people just want to shiny objects and move on to the next thing. And
yes, so I fundamentally disagree with you about your own assessment of that. I do think
this is over.
Okay. All right. You know what? Fuck you. I hope the piano, whatever you call the top of it, collapses on top of you. Next time you're tuning it.
Whatever the top.
I hope Scotty just finds your legs dangling out of the top of your baby grand piano.
So tell me why you disagree.
Well, I'll tell you why. I think that, and you've been given a lot of data I could see why you'd have this opinion of yourself. You're very self-aware. You've probably never put anyone out.
Hyper.
Yes. But to say that you're bullseyeing it is inaccurate. Well, so let's say that you assume people's attention span for you playing the piano is 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's 10. You're off on your ratio. I can tell you, having been around you a whole bunch in real life, that you're playing it way safer than you would need to. People find you incredibly interesting, articulate, funny, self-effacing, all those things.
That's why I came today.
Okay, for a pep talk?
Yeah. No, that's very nice, and I'm not looking for that, but thank you. And I just... Look, I don't know even what we're talking about.
I know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
What's really funny is she said, I don't want to hear that. I have the same thing, but I'm guessing or projecting, but all you want is approval.
Well, I don't know.
And when you get it, you can't even bear it.
Well, aren't you? I think.
Yes.
I think maybe that's why we're actors, you know, and or performers or whatever.
Well, from my outside perspective, it appears that some of us love it and can really internalize it, and I think it's awesome.
But what are you supposed to do when somebody goes, "You're so funny and you're so great and so smart," or whatever those things? You say thank you. And then, but that they keep going on. You go, let's just move on. You know what I mean?
Well, okay, but let's just back up. You're so smart and funny. Isn't that what you were dying to hear, though, all growing up?
I think so, but I don't think I need that anymore.
Yes.
I think my younger self craved it, and now I'm at a place where I'm just like, hey, you want to watch a movie?
Right. Well, I'm gonna air your dirty laundry a little bit. I'm gonna expose you. The funniest thing about visiting your house is I would put
a surgeon and his 4 kids live there.
Well, there's that, but no.
It's the most beautiful house in Los Angeles. I've also had the pleasure of being
I
there.
know you're.
It is beautiful. It's
is
incredible.
gorgeous.
Well, thank you.
But the funniest thing that I would put up against any Saturday Night Live sketch that's ever been put on the air is when you're at Sean and Scotty's house and then you say goodnight. There's a moment in the night where it becomes very clear that it's time to go. Because you guys, rightly so, are very protective of your sleep. You need to get your rest.
I never sleep. I never sleep.
That's right. So, you know, appropriately, you're very protective of it.
Yeah.
So at any rate, you start getting a couple signals. It's time to go. So happened to us 3 different times where we go, okay, love you. Thanks for the dinner. What a great time. We should do this again. We walk out of your house. We get only halfway to our car. And my wife goes, oh my God, I forgot my phone. We turn around, we walk up another 12 seconds, we knock on your door, and you guys open matching pajamas. It's impossibly funny. It's happened 3 times. We're like, do they wear their pajamas under their clothes? And as soon as you shut the door, you tear it,
It's a rip away.
It's incredible in their matching pajama suits.
You know what it is? I say to Scotty all the time, my favorite time of every single day is at night when I don't have to talk to anybody or see anybody, and you just flip on the TV and sit in silence, right? That has nothing to do with friends.
Sure.
It has to do with, I try to go to bed earlier now because I never sleep.
Yeah. I've yelled at you a bunch of times. Remember when you were doing Sean Saves?
Yeah, Sean Saves.
Is that what it's called?
Sean Saves the World. It was horrible, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, first of all, I don't think it's horrible.
but it wasn't good.
Here's the part I
And
view.
it's
I don't.
fine, yeah.
How could you say that about my friend Sean Hayes? He's never done anything horrible. Okay, so stupidly, we were in sound stages that were literally touching each other.
Yeah.
For a full year.
That's right.
We're also good friends.
Right.
Like legitimate friends.
Right.
We could not find the time to see one another.
Isn't that unbelievable?
Over the course of a year.
I know, and that right next to each other. Because you get done, you want to go in your car and you want to go home.
Yes, or
You have
sprint to your trailer and take a dump
Yeah, right.
and check your emails, whatever the thing is. But we did bump into each other one time, and you were telling me a story, and you just would occasionally just completely check out. You just like, I could see it in your eyes. You'd like wander off.
See, that's the thing about you is you always call. By the way, that's why I'm so happy and proud of you for this podcast. Is because I think this is what your life's kind of been leading up to. One of the things that it's been leading up to.
It was unsolicited, and now
Yeah. No, because you've always called me out on shit that nobody else has, and you're not afraid to do it. And here's the scary part: you're always right.
oh my gosh, that's terribly flattering.
Totally true.
Monica
Don't
hates
tell him
hearing that.
I know.
We argue all day, every day.
I know, but you are because you are. You know, like your little catchphrase on this podcast as it says, navigating through the messiness of being human or whatever it says. And for some reason, you're really in tune with how I think and your other friends think, but how people think.
I do want to just deflect the compliment a tiny bit to say, first of all, thank you for saying that. Secondly, it's really a matter of having sat in AA meetings for 15 years and watching, at this point, thousands of people come in and try to work through a problem and navigate their way towards being honest with themselves. It's very hard. It's so much harder to be honest with ourselves than we give it credit for.
Right.
It's challenging because you're receiving biochemical impulses. You're selecting little details that are just confirmation about it. It's very hard for us to be objective.
Right.
But when you've seen several thousand people do it over the course of 15 years, you do get a little good at going like, oh, that's that thing. Oh, that's that. Oh, I've seen this before. Yeah, he's going to figure out eventually.
I think all my shit comes from just anxiety, constant anxiety.
But do you think the root of that anxiety is nature or nurture or both?
Both.
Both, right.
Yeah. I think so because I think, if you go, look, here we go.
Let's go back to Illinois.
Okay.
So
Well, I was just
you have
saying-
a bunch of brothers, right?
Yeah, but here's what I was going to say. As a kid, is that what we're supposed to be talking about on this
Anything.
podcast?
You're not supposed to do anything.
Because it's called
The people pleaser in you is very concerned that you're not following the format, but I'm telling you, there
Why do you
isn't
think
a
I like to put my
format.
pajamas, shut the door, so I'm like, please anybody. I'm exhausted.
I know. I know. You're enough. Everyone loves you. And you can, and also it's okay if people are upset with you.
No, I'm good.
It's their problem.
Yeah. So as a kid, my dad left when I was about 5 or 6 years old, and so my mom raised 5 kids.
And he didn't get deployed, right?
No.
He's not an American hero, right? It's worthwhile saying like what that means that he left.
He may call it that. But it's deployed to a bar.
Yeah.
No, he
My father got this similar draft.
he on his own accord left because I think he just woke up and was like, wait, I'm married and I have 5 kids and I haven't experienced life yet. So that's a good time for that to kick in.
Sure.
Yeah. And so
5 kids.
5 kids, yeah.
3 brothers and a sister, right?
That's correct. I'm the youngest of 5. And so, but I remember when my dad, when they were going through that, my mom, and they were yelling at each other and screaming and slamming doors. And my dad, she locked him out. So he took a bat and broke the door down. I mean, all of it's like so traumatic for a kid to absorb. And so my mom, every single night, would sit in the living room in the dark. Couldn't be more dramatic than that. Like, why are you sitting? You can turn a light on.
Sure.
And so she sat in the dark and cried every single night.
No.
And every single night I would go over to her with Kleenex, or I'm like, Mom, do you need anything? Are you okay?
Yeah.
And I think that's where it all comes from.
Why couldn't she have done that in her fucking bedroom? Why did she have to have all you? Did she have a little bit of a martyr complex as well?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, because that feels like it's really on
Irish.
display.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
Which is part of the reason I think my dad left too, because she was always kind of like that.
Yeah.
Great reason to leave. But
Since I've known you, you've always been in long-term relationships. But I would imagine growing up married as we are to our parents, you can't escape them, and having someone that was so hard to care for, that you would be super averse to commitment, but you haven't proven to be.
I think that's me being self-aware about myself. It's like, sure, I would like to, there's part of you that never wants to give up your youth, which entails chasing men, or in my case, women. In your case, you don't want to give up the sex.
Don't put me in a box. This ride's not over.
But so I think I saw in Scotty something I needed, not necessarily something I wanted. Although I did want him in every respect of the way. But
Well, there's often a huge chasm between what's good for you and what you desire, right?
That's kind of what I mean.
Yeah.
So I think I was at a point where I was just like, okay, enough's enough. You can spot the bad people and the bad influences that are probably fun, but not good for your soul, and are going to enrich your life. So I saw that in Scotty, and I was like, okay, time to pick.
And I'll go a step further because I really would like to clearly point out what a catch Scotty is. And you are not saying that. And this is how I'm going to point that out.
Nicest person alive.
Truly. A beautiful, beautiful human being that
Yeah.
you're so lucky to be sharing this experience with.
So.
With that said, he's such a prick. Guy, I want to knock him out every time.
I don't even remember his last
No, but what else? It's not Hayes?
No. It's Isinogle, and our initials together spell hi.
Oh, fantastic! But back to the desirability. In addition, quite often to them being quote fun, they're also just fueling your ego in some bizarre way, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, it's that thing. In every relationship, there needs to be a crazy person and an anchor. I'm so the crazy person, and he's so the anchor.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that it would work,
But I don't know. I will speak for myself. I also, in relationships, I have a low opinion of myself. So if I can get somebody that I've recognized as being higher status than me, then I'll somehow prove to myself I'm better.
Yeah.
Because why would this person have picked me?
Totally.
But then I'm with them. I still don't like myself. So now they're just this person who's probably nuts or whatever it is. So that's what I mean, kind of in the ego part of it too, is like you're often with people for a very selfish, weird, bizarre reason to make yourself feel,
But I agree with that. And at the same time, like for Scotty, the love is so deep, and I care for him so deeply that what you just said, but also turns to, gosh, I would give up anything to help this person, not for my own ego, but.
Yeah, well, what's really bizarre is the difference between a very good relationship and one that's probably not good is that through being with somebody for the right reasons, weirdly, your self-esteem does go up. So the thing you thought you could achieve by getting some flashy, status-heavy person always backfires. But then this thing where you actually like them for a genuine reason, and then you want to be of service to them and help them and protect them and take care of them, all of a sudden you look in the mirror and you're like, oh, wow, I do like this person.
Right.
It's counterintuitive.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I try not to think that deep.
Okay. But you're the youngest and you have 3 older brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were boys from what you've told me, right?
I mean, they still are.
Farted in each other's faces and
Just
stuff.
pinned me down, spit in my face, which I didn't like till I was older, but yeah. No, that drool thing that you do? You suck it back out. So they would all pin me. I remember they pinned me down and forced to shave me when I didn't really have growth yet on my face.
Okay.
And there's a
Did they ever cut you?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, we weren't really parented, so we kind of have parented ourselves,
Yeah.
And, although my mom was amazing, but she was working, and so
What did she do?
she had a choice when we were extremely young to either have an office job or take a not-for-profit position at a food bank that feeds the poor and the homeless. Of course, that's the one she picked.
She did.
Yeah, so for 25, 30 years, she worked at a food bank that supplied the Northern Illinois Food Bank. It was part of the Second Harvest.
So safe to assume you guys weren't in high cotton. It's not like you had the coolest tennis shoes every
No,
spring,
we had
did you?
one winter we had the heat turned off in Chicago. So you could see our breath in the house.
Oh, Jesus.
And I'd get ready for school and I'd have to like wash my hair in the sink in the freezing. It was horrible. And then we had our phone turned off and the car repossessed and the house remortgaged, and it was nuts.
I'll speak for myself. I'm obsessed with money.
Yes.
And I think that some of our funnest conversations have been about money.
100%.
We're super obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Have to imagine it stems from that childhood with no heat, right?
Totally. And you never want to go without heat again. So much so that it becomes a little bit of an obsession. It also creates a good work ethic.
It does. As with everything, it's usually a double-edged sword. And so the good thing is you're very productive.
Yeah.
The bad thing is you've pretty much built your entire life over the one winter you didn't have heat, which amounted to maybe a month of your life. Right. You've now built 46 years off of. Like, it's preposterous.
That's so true.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, there was a bunch of, I know what you're saying, but there was years of like, and somebody's always better off, somebody's always worse off. But we
it's hard to see someone's worse off.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. But we still had a house.
Yeah, big time. A lot of people were in their cars seeing their breath.
Yeah. It's true.
Right?
It's true.
Or on their bicycles. Does anyone live in bicycles? You never hear. No one's like, if anyone's trying to outpour someone else. Like, we slept in our car most nights. Well, we slept on our bicycles most nights. You guys had a car?
Yeah.
Did you ever feel...
Oh, wait.
Yeah,
When
I'm
did you get here?
I just arrived. Did you ever feel resentful knowing that maybe you could have had more if she wasn't kind of busy helping other people? Like, that sounds crazy, but...
No, I never felt that until, in a funny way, just like, because she just passed away in January. Thank you. She in a funny way, I look back and I'm like, why did you zig when you should have zagged? Took the office job.
Right.
You know what I mean? But my God, you can't think that.
Not like
look at all the great things she did from it and what we learned from her helping the poor and the homeless. That's just in a jokey way. It's like, it's funny.
But like logically you can say that, but emotionally I would have had a hard time with that.
Yeah, I would go.
It was an office job, though. You know what I mean? It was office, and then yes, she did everything else to, volunteer to feed the poor and the homeless through the company that she worked at. But it wasn't. I didn't think of her like on the street actually supplying soup to people.
Sure.
It was an office gig.
Yeah.
But for that company.
Now, I can only imagine this because I have no experience with it specifically the way you do. But my assumption would be it would be hard enough to be gay in the Midwest in the 80s.
Yeah.
Going to school and none of your classmates are open. I have to imagine it would be compounded by also being in a family of all boys that are just straight dudes.
Yeah, jocks and athletes.
So, because it's one thing to feel like, oh, I'm dissimilar from my classmates, but at least they're strangers. But, I'm also dissimilar from my family.
Yeah, no, I think growing up the way I did, and then on top of that being gay, put the fight in me.
Right.
It's fight or flight. And you choose. And I chose that at some point. I think I was in college where it's just like, okay, I'm on my own. Because I came out, my mom was like, you're going to hell. And, she came around total 180. And then she was like,
but the initial
thing was like, okay, I don't have a mom. I don't have a dad.
Jesus.
And you don't have society. And you don't have...
What did your brothers think?
Different reactions. But mostly cool. Yeah. As cool as they could be to me, probably, and not to their friends about it,
Sure.
But who knows? I never asked them about that.
If you could rank it, it's easiest to come out to your sister, maybe?
Oh, totally, yeah.
Right.
Of course.
And then who's next, mom or brothers?
Well, definitely not my mom.
Which has nothing to do with it.
Full of everything of the society of.
But mom's number one. That's the last person you want to.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you also it's like even when you started just saying being gay, and it's in my DNA to the second you just asked me. So being gay growing up, and you go, you freak out a little bit, like, oh, he just said that, and is that okay? You know what I mean? You still freak out about it. Everybody's got something. So
Absolutely.
it's not, out here, it's like being, who cares if you're gay? Like, it's totally normal.
One winter without heat
Yeah.
changes the course of your life.
100%.
So, yeah, great. You're in LA now and you have money and shit and you have, cultural and political capital. It's fine for you to be gay. 25 of those years, you don't have any of those things. You are very disenfranchised. So if one winter can change your life, certainly 25 years of feeling like I have to hide something, you will never hear you're gay probably and feel great about that topic.
Right, because it's so embedded, yeah. But, I don't know why this is. At some point, I wanted to make it other people's problem and not mine,
How do you do that?
By plowing through and being strong and not being apologetic about it, I guess. Yet I was still afraid of it. And this is a weird thing. Some days you're afraid of it. Some days you're like, well, screw you. It's not my problem. It's yours.
Yeah.
So I guess it just depends on.
That is the frustrating thing about being a human is you can have a realization over and over again every week.
Yeah.
And every week is the same realization. It's just as profound. And then by Wednesday, you've forgotten it and you're the victim of this thing again.
Yeah.
It's like, these aren't permanent. Like me, I said I was an alcoholic 15 years ago, but I have to do it every morning because I will forget. I literally will forget.
I forget I'm gay sometimes.
Do you? Oh. Sometimes I'll be fucking a woman, like a beautiful woman. And I'm inside of her and I'll go, wait, hold on. What's off?
No, but
I was just going to ask if you had sex with a woman, but then I felt like, what I felt like that was?
What? You can ask me.
Okay. I have been guilty of this. In the past, whenever they would interview someone who was a transsexual, the first preoccupation, the curiosity is, did you remove your genitals?
Right, because they now want to picture what you look like naked.
Yeah, there's that. Right. And I guess also you want to know, like, well, how committed are you to this? How far has it gone? Did you go through that whole, like, psychological thing for 5 years or whatever? And it was through listening to Stern where he, of course, would ask that in the past. And now he's, like, evolved on it. And I recognize what a preposterously inappropriate question to ask someone about their genitals. Like, I would never say to you, Sean, what's the length of your dick? But that's even a step beyond that to say, have you had your penis removed? Yet we feel very entitled to that information. So anyways, I was just about to ask you, have you ever had sex with a girl? And then I thought, am I falling into one of these things where like a straight dude? I'm like, I don't know, but I tried to police myself.
I'm inches away from death at my age. Okay. No, I've never had sex with a woman.
Did you have a girlfriend though in high school ever?
No, I had one in, back to the other thing.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me in high school once, because I was always kind of just like obnoxious and I would like fall down on purpose with all my books flying everywhere. And some people wanted to beat me up for it and other people would laugh,
Yeah.
And so this one girl says like, you're so weird. I'm like, okay, let me just be like everybody else then. And I just stood there and stared at her blankly. Like, why be boring?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of one, also another fear of mine is being boring. Like being totally boring.
That was the greatest line in American Beauty. Do you remember that?
What was it?
The love affair between the guy who filmed the bags that was floating around and then the girl. Yeah, Wes Bentley and the beautiful girl. And he said, you're anything but boring. Like their ultimate fear would be that they were boring. Yeah.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that was me in high school. I just wanted to not be boring or.
Right. But no, I never had sex with a woman. Even today, I'm scared. Like, I don't understand it. Also, it didn't help when I was younger and some of my brothers would come home and be like, dude, smell my fingers.
Sure.
It smells so gross. And I was like, okay, so that just solidified it for me. I was like, why would I then want to do that?
Sure. Well, yeah. But really quick before we I want to know what your role was in that. You were the baby of the family. Did they treat you like a baby? Like, did they take care of you and look out for you?
No, my mom probably did a little bit. But,
okay.
But no, like I said, we were kind of all on our own and parented ourselves. And
were you the family jester, though?
Probably a little bit. But everybody was funny in their own way. I mean, that's how, it's so cliche. That's how we dealt with all the pain that we went through, was so sarcastic and constantly funny and horrible like pranks and
I guess what I'm curious about is was your sense of humor forged in trying to mitigate stress around you or like alleviate tension?
now that I look back, of course it was.
Okay, yeah. Then I'm just curious if that was your role.
Of
Like we
course.
see
I have old footage I'll show you when we're done of me as a kid just smiling
Nervously.
and laughing through everything.
like a maniacal.
Yeah, Sean, and I'm just like, I'm gay, I'm ugly, I have glasses. People will find out.
I can
they're
see
gonna
my breath.
murder me, and yeah, I can see my breath.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
It's the end of The Shining, and that's my dad coming at me with an axe.
Now, after he left at 5, did you see him again? Would you see him like every other weekend, or
I mean, he
never?
He kind of came and went like over the next course
For
of
a
the
shower?
next 5-6 years. Totally,
Really?
Yeah, for like a shower or like
And a meal?
Cook eggs. And I remember he always used to come home late at night, my dad drunk, and making like an egg sandwich, right?
Oh, God.
And soup or something, right?
Such a drunk guy thing to make.
Isn't it? And my brother held the handle of the spoon under the fire for a really long time, and then placed it there, right? And so my dad came back. He's like, "Motherfucker, what the fuck, you fucking kids! I fucking hate you guys." You're right.
Oh my goodness!
Horrible. And then one time he was really drunk, and the kitchen floor had those linoleum square tiles, you know. And he, in his drunken state, nobody did the dishes, so he took every single dirty dish and put it on every square on the kitchen floor.
Like Beautiful Mind style. Like maybe he was a mathematician we didn't know
I
about.
should contact him.
Now, in your adult years, when you became famous and had money, did he try to find you, or was he dead? Or
When I first started to become a publicly known figure, I felt bad because the National Enquirer kind of followed him around.
oh, they did.
Yeah. And they knew this story. It's an old story now. This has been everywhere. But yeah, so he contacted me a little bit, then he didn't, and now he does, and I don't know.
Oh, he's still alive.
Yeah, he's still alive, yeah. He's 83 or something like that. Isn't it wild, though? I think about this a lot, that while I'm on this earth and alive, I will never know the feeling of having a father.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'll never know what it's like to have a male figure. I think that's why, even in you, even in my friend Dax, I see in every straight male
A potential father figure.
100%.
Yeah. Do you do that to directors? I do that to
I do it
directors.
to every straight male.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah. Doesn't matter if you're 11 years old or 85 years old.
Yeah.
I look for approval. Isn't that sick? I'll look for approval sometimes, subconsciously, from a teenager, like a teenage guy.
Yeah. Sean, why do you think I have tattoos and ride motorcycles and do wheelies and things? I'm just endlessly in need of male approval going, good job, you're cool.
Yeah.
You know, because, I wasn't getting it
Right.
as a kid from
Well,
a
do you think-
guy.
But do you think that most guys do get that?
Again, like you, I'm trapped in my own perspective of not having gotten it. But it seems to me I have friends who aren't on a quest to get approval from other men, and they did have good dads. So I think
then-
it's probably a pretty relevant factor in that.
Yeah, because as an outsider, as a gay guy outsider, looking into the dude world,
Yeah.
you all seem to get along famously.
Well,
You know what I mean?
that's a side conversation that Monica and I sometimes argue about. But yeah, I do think in general dudes can get along better.
Because you all have vaginas and
Worst case scenario, you start talking about boobs or vagina, and you got a good hour of conversation on your hand.
right,
Yeah.
gay guys, dick and
Yeah.
everything.
Bathhouses and smelling salts and
smelling salts. Hello, right this way. Would you like to smell our bathing salts?
it's funny because I've heard you say this stuff before, but it's something I respect about you. You have this mantra that you say quite often, which is, and then you die.
Yeah,
Right? This is your mantra.
or I'll say you're literally here for 5 minutes.
Yeah. And I think that's really great. And I think it's really helpful and it's healthy and it's productive.
It's right on the border of depression and productive.
Well, but then another part of me thinks, and yet sometimes you're definitely undermining the impact of these things. And they do affect that 5-minute ride on planet Earth.
Yeah.
Or when you die, there is a better or worse life you can leave behind. And so to kind of just as a knee jerk always go like, well, and then who gives a fuck? Well, so for the dad thing, my own personal thing was I've had so many levels of resentment against my dad First of all, he was a fine dad. And as I get over more and more of these issues, he's a lovely dude that did the best he could. And he was quite great quite often. So with that said, one of the things I was really resentful for, I couldn't put my finger on it in my 20s, or rather my 30s, was I finally had accomplished something I had set out my whole life to do. And I owned a home and I had some cool cars. And the thing I felt like he robbed me of is I wanted to show my dad what I did. And I wanted him to say, good job, son. But it's deeper than this, because he did do that. I also wanted to respect him and for the compliment to have resonance.
Yeah.
Like he had lived a great life and now I lived up to his shadow. You know what I'm saying? Like I became a man like he was. And now he's patting me on the back and going, boy, you did it. Now relax. And do you at all feel resentful that you were robbed of that the things you've done? We can agree you left Illinois and you were on a hit TV show and you have a nice house.
Yeah. And that's not necessarily success, but you're just doing well.
But don't you want that moment where the person whose approval or the person you always wanted to be proud of you gets to pull you aside and say, son, you did it. I'm proud of you.
Yeah. I mean, sure, I guess. I mean,
Here we go. And then you die. And then you drink a pint on your way home. And then you die.
No, I think, look, I'm already dead on the inside. No, I think that, for me, I think I was always just looking for my dad to say, I'm sorry. And not just like, I'm sorry, but like, I'm really sorry. Look, it all worked out and I wouldn't change it for anything because of what happened, gave me drive and,
sure,
and ambition and all those things. So I wouldn't change any of it. But
to your point, that's just doing well and maybe not success.
Yeah.
So if you have a ton of anxiety and you move through life with a lot of anxiety, and that's at maybe the core of it or the root of it, then how thankful can you be that it was like that? There are also a lot of people that are productive, successful, and they have great fucking dads. So it's not like it's the only road here. Kristen's dad is a great fucking dad.
Yeah.
And she's done just fine.
Right. I'm just saying it's a useful tool to drive your ambition to
it's great fuel in the furnace.
Yes, it was a great motivator for me to want to succeed. The whole notion of waking up in the morning saying, I'll show you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's powerful.
Yeah. So I think, and then, I once, I don't know if this is interesting, but I'm talking faster because I'm getting through it because I don't know that it's interesting and people are going to change the channel. It's exhausting.
No one's going to change
I know.
the
Well,
channel.
Anyway, so.
Sean,
yeah.
I love you.
I love you too.
You're so talented. You're so kind. You're so generous. You're way more than enough for anyone.
Okay, great. Isn't that the truth?
It is, yeah.
I totally forgot what I was going to say.
Okay, cool.
You were going to tell a story that you were afraid to tell.
I don't remember what it was.
Oh, no.
Really cool.
Interesting.
You came in 95.
I come probably every day.
Okay, if you can muster up the energy. I never even finished that story. I bumped into you outside of your shows, Sean Saves. I abbreviate it for time.
Sure.
Sean Saves, and you were talking, and then you just wandered off to somewhere mentally.
That was a really weird time for me because I was so stressed out because my name was in the title and blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
All that stuff, yeah.
I remember it being very scary for you.
Yeah.
And you were not sleeping enough.
No, still not.
I remember I virtually yelled at you. I was like, Sean, you've got to get 8 hours of sleep. Like there's things that cycles of sleep that happen in your insulin and all this stuff.
Like right now, like I sleep I'm not making this up. I sleep about 2-3 hours a night.
Oh,
and then,
Jesus.
but wait, and then so I go to bed at like midnight.
Okay.
I get up at 3.
Okay.
And then I'm up.
Put the dishes on the floor.
Yep. And then I will fall back hard at like 6 or 7 in the morning for an hour. And I sleep great. And then I'm totally wide awake. And I've just surrendered that's my circadian rhythm.
I need you to get more sleep.
Yeah.
We gotta put a concerted effort into figuring out how to get 8 hours of sleep. Okay? I need you to get more sleep.
How much do I owe you?
Katsuya.
Oh yeah.
That's our little hideaway. Your and I's little secret hideaway.
I love it.
Although one of the profound conversation we had though was at the counter.
Yes, very.
Yeah, and you tell this story a lot.
Okay, so
I like it.
Yes,
because I'm the hero in it.
You are. Do you know the story?
No, I don't think.
Okay, so
well, no. Before you tell the story, and I'll remind you to tell it. We met at playing poker at Will Arnett's house.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly when we met. I had just done Let's Go to Prison with Will. He invited me to the poker game. You walked in. Actually, the very first time we ever met was backstage at the People's Choice or Kids' Choice, whatever, one of these award
That's
shows.
what I remember, yeah.
And you were very, very nice. And I was like, oh, that guy's really famous and he's so nice. That's
What are the odds?
And then we met at Will's. And then by my own account, I fell in love with you that night. Like I remember driving home feeling butterfly-y.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, it was so fun. I thought you were so funny and just kind and generous and loving. And I just loved you. And then we broke off from Will and had our own little relationship. And then, of course, you and Bella are really good friends and we're all friends. So we became friends from then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
we would eat lunch together.
And then so we were eating at the counter, and I was just about to do a Broadway show, and the Advocate wanted to interview me or something. So
That's a gay
rag.
Gay magazine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay. And then it's like my publicist was just like, I'm so exhausted, like because I was out, but I wasn't out to the press. Right. And so that's like a whole other podcast, right? That whole like journey inside my brain about being scared to come out but being okay with gay, but publicly, then people are going to shoot me. And I don't know, there's a bunch of fear and all this stuff. And we were getting death threats at Will and Grace when it first started anyway. And then I'm like,
wow.
You know, unlike Ellen, who was brave and did all that, I was like, I don't know that I want that job. You know, I don't know that I don't have the DNA to be a spokesperson for the entire community. I don't have that in my blood. I just not like stand on a podium and say, this is, you know, I'm a funny person who is quiet and put my pajamas on at 6 o'clock at night.
Because I often sympathize with, say, you in that situation, or often black folks as well, where it's like it's almost expected of them that they have to be the head of a movement at all times and in all interviews and all worries that they should always be pushing the message and agenda. And it's like, for me as a selfish human being who wants to do whatever I'm in the mood to do that day, it feels slightly unfair that it's the double whammy. Once, first, you're already born gay, which makes you marginalized, or you're born black, which makes you marginalized. And then on top of it, when you get to have some fun and be famous or whatever, now you got to always be political and carry this message. Like, it feels like double unfair.
Right. I agree. I just didn't. I wish I was like that. I just am not built that way. And I feel a little guilty about that. But at the same time, I just want to be an actor.
Yeah.
I just wanted to act and make a living at it. That's all. And do other small things like I do. I have a scholarship fund set up at Illinois State University. I give $5,000 every year to a needy kid. And nobody knows that. Now on your podcast, I revealed that. Thank you very much. But other little things like that, I do lots of those things, but I'm not vocal about it because I don't want to be vocal about it.
Sure.
That said, I came out in 2010 publicly, like to the press. Came out everywhere else at 18 years old. So
That young?
Yeah.
That's pretty brave.
Yeah, in 1988.
Yeah.
Because Andy Bell, who was the lead singer of Erasure, I try to discover a little something to make me sweeter. You know that song? You know that song? That you gave me, no, 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 so.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
I hear you calling. Oh, baby, please. Right?
Yep.
So that guy's name is Andy Bell, and they've had many other hits. And I'm getting to your story in just a
No,
second.
you don't need to.
And everybody's like, who's your inspiration? He was one of my inspirations because he was out and had the #1 song on the radio in America and England.
Yeah.
And also Chain of Fools is an extremely, hugely famous. That was the other hit song they had. And I was like, wait a minute, that guy's gay? And I was 18. I was like, you can make a living like being gay in the arts and being open about it? My mind was blown.
That's where it gets tricky. That's where the guilt comes from, right? Is you know how inspirational that person was.
Right.
And how much confidence it gave you to be honest in your own personal life.
Yeah.
That on some level, right, you think, well, fuck, I owe that to whatever 17-year-old kid looks up to me.
Yeah, that's the biggest gift of all of this.
Yeah.
Right. And that's, that shit makes me cry. Where
Yeah.
like people come up to me and like, because of you, I felt like, I'm like, what? I can't even talk about it right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's incredible. It's very powerful, power of comedy.
Power of comedy or
being yourself.
power of honesty?
Yeah. Well, both.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah, it's bravery.
Well,
and
being honest in comedy. I think they're both the same.
Okay.
Right? Don't they all come from the same place?
honesty and comedy?
Yeah. You can only be funny if it's honest.
Well, I was just watching Comedians in Cars and Comedy, or whatever it's called, and Jerry Seinfeld said he thinks that concept's bullshit.
Well,
And he said Richard Pryor's pipe didn't really talk to him, but thank God he said the pipe talked to him.
What are you talking about?
Richard Pryor's most famous
I know,
comedy
right?
routine is like
Right.
the pipe's like, you can kick Jim Brown's ass. Kick Jim Brown over here. You can kick his ass. And Seinfeld said his pipe wasn't really talking to him. That's a lie. That's not honesty. But it's brilliant.
Well, that's semantics. No, I'm just saying, I don't know that that's the same thing. What I'm just saying, I think the funniest comedy is rooted in honesty.
Oh, right.
Anyway, so now, 2010, I come out publicly for the first time. Of course, gay people are like, some gay people, not all gay people, were just like, oh, you can't win.
Right, what were they saying?
Because
Took you long enough or something?
Yeah, all that, because I didn't come out on their terms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like that, everything we just talked about, right? Well, everybody's different, go figure, and that's not the job I wanted.
Also, again, I'm sorry. It just makes me really upset that of all the people that should understand how fucking challenging it is, they should be the last people to be slinging.
And the negative ones are the loudest ones. So it wasn't a lot of people. I've only been embraced by gay people and HRC and GLAAD and everybody else.
Yeah.
And I always say I contribute by making silly, funny Facebook videos with my husband, and I hold his hand in public, and that's how I contribute. I don't contribute in any other way that somebody else wants me to.
You've never been on the bow of a float in the gay pride parade with a tuba?
No, and that's great for those people who want to do that, and that's very successful that way. But anyway, can't win. But
2010.
Anyway, 2010, I come out, and Dax, we're having a hamburger at the counter, and he says, let me ask you something. And this is right before I came out.
As I remember it, you had agreed to do the interview with the advocate, and you were very nervous about it.
Yeah. And so Dax says, I have a feeling why you haven't come out yet. And I said, why? And he said, you've been kind of keeping that under wraps publicly so that you might be more available to possibly one day star in a movie or be the lead of something somewhere. And I go...
And play the straight man.
I play the straight man. Like, maybe that's still possible. And by the way, it's still a possibility. But he goes... I go, yeah, I guess so. I was playing the studio game that's been antiquated since Rock Hudson was, working, that you're not supposed to say. One question changed my whole life. He goes, how's that working out for you? And I was like, oh, it's actually not at all. So I was like, wow, how's that working out for you? So that really made me go, yeah, who fucking cares? Who cares?
Well,
I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted from playing the game with the press and everything. And I thought it was like a fun game we were having.
Sure.
It's like, no, it's not actually.
Fun game.
I'm tired. And it's like, and even in this podcast, it's like, yeah, what do you want to talk about? I don't give a shit.
Yeah. Well, but first, I also want to acknowledge that there is a crazy huge double standard, and you've heard me bitch about this a bunch of times, which is if a guy comes out and is very vocally gay, they don't hire him to play the male, with a very few exceptions. We seem completely unaccepting of an openly gay person playing a straight person on film, yet all of our best gay movies are straight dudes.
Yeah, totally.
All of them.
Totally.
Milk is... Brokeback Mountain, all straight dudes, and we're like, God damn, I actually believed he was gay. Let's give him an award. It's just such a double standard.
Okay, so I have to tell you this.
Yeah.
So I was on the way to the SAG Awards. This is many, many years ago, and it was the year Brokeback Mountain was out, right? And so I was nominated again, and I had won 2 or 3 times, and I was like, I'm not going to win again. I'm sick of me. Even I am. Right? Like, I don't want to see me anymore. I don't want to hear me talk because I don't make any sense. So I go there, and in the limo on the way there, I was like, oh, crap, what if, right? I better write something. I better have something to say when I go up there. So I took I ripped the envelope off of where my ticket was in, and I wrote down this little speech. Sure enough, and the SAG award goes to Sean Hayes. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? That's like, I'm so flattered. Like, I can't believe I won again. So I get up there, and everybody's George Clooney. Everybody's in the audience, right? And so I get up there, and to your point, I say, first of all, I'd like to thank Ang Lee for taking a chance on me. Because
Ang Lee, who directed Brokeback Mountain.
Ang Lee,
if you don't know,
yeah. I'd like to thank Ang Lee for taking a chance on me because everybody knows how hard it is to play a gay role these days. And I go, but now that I've won for playing a gay role, think of all the opportunities that will come my way. Like I just was relentless with the point I was making against the press and Hollywood. And so, and this was like 12 years ago, whatever, and they still do it, and like love Simon, right? Fantastic actor, nothing against him, nothing against any actor who wants to get a job. It's just a wake-up call for the people hiring, like maybe you should cast a wider net. And but that said, coming as a gay man, I really truly do believe if you're right for a part, you should do it regardless of what you are. If you're a straight guy that can play gay better, fine. If you're a gay guy that can play straight guy, fine. It's no, I think we're there.
Yeah, and I don't think that any actor should ever not try to do a role they want to do. But I do think it's up to the people above them going, well, let's just say that we're not going to let gay guys play straight guys, so we should at least let them play gay guys, and they're gay. Yeah. We have some obligation to allow them to work.
Right. I mean, like, take Matt Bomer.
Yeah.
Who's a phenomenal actor and an incredible human being.
Very nice.
And
gorgeous guy.
Yeah. He was just on an episode of Will and Grace. He goes, and they gave him a line that his character said, if you're looking for a pore on my face, you won't find one. and I go, you're like a dolphin. And he really is. He's so gorgeous and wonderful on the inside too. But there's a perfect example of an out proud gay guy who can play either.
Yeah.
So give him a shot at playing a leading man in a movie. Maybe they have, and I just don't know. But
so you leave Illinois.
Yeah.
You come to Los Angeles in 1995.
Yeah.
How soon after you get here do you audition for Will and Grace?
So this is a story. Ugh. See, I find myself boring. And here we go. I was a music director at a dinner theater in Chicago, a suburb of Chicago called Pheasant Run Dinner Theater.
I want to say one more thing.
Sure.
You used to run your tapes. You had tapes that you had made of your own film compositions, and you put them on cassette tape.
Yeah.
And you went and saw someone perform live.
Yeah.
And then you ran the tape up to the stage, right?
That's so crazy. Yeah, I was 22 and I decided to go for a road trip to see Harry Connick Jr.
Right.
At some theater in Chicago. Because I was obsessed with the When Harry Met Sally soundtrack, right? And I'm like, I can't believe that guy played that and sang and everything. And so I drove up to see him in concert, and I knew his albums. And so one of the songs, he said, this song was written for me by a guy named Mark Shaman. And Mark's right here in the front row. And I'm flipping out. Do you know who Mark Shaman is?
No.
So Mark Shaman and Scott Whitman wrote Hairspray the musical, all the music.
Okay.
Mark Shaman wrote a million things. He wrote the soundtrack for The Bucket List that I was in.
I'm so sorry.
He composed that.
I just thought, what have you said? He wrote that beautiful score for Sanford and Son?
By the way, he probably did. Mark Shaman is like, he wrote all the music for Smash, the TV show. Like, incredible, amazing, very, very famous composer. So Harry Connick dedicated it to Mark, who was sitting in the front row. And I had my tape with me like an idiot. And I ran down to Mark Shaman, who I now know and I'm friends with.
Yeah.
And Harry Connick, like, it's all weird how it all works out.
Yeah.
And he just looked at me and was like, yeah, thanks. That's it. That's that story. So I saw him again for the first time, like 15 years ago. I go, I haven't heard from you. Did you ever listen to that tape? And so it was Pheasant Run Dinner Theater. I was a musical director. And while I was doing Fiddler on the Roof, with Anna Klumsky who was in the cast, in the parking lot, I had my car packed. I did the show, because right after the show, I was going to take off on the highway. So me and a friend drove out, didn't stop, 36 hours, never been to Los Angeles, got out, had a setup, like a friend of mine from Chicago who already moved out, had the apartment. So he's like, this is the address, because he moved out before I did. And so I drove up to Park La Brea. I was like, wow, I have no idea where I am. I moved in. We shared rent. I was taking the trash out one day. There was this guy who worked at a casting office. And he goes, what do you do? I go, I'm an actor, but I work at this restaurant, Red. It's awful, but...
No offense to Red.
No, of course not. Yeah. It's closed a long time ago. The owner was a jerk. But he was, David. But anyway, he wasn't kind. He fired my friend Raina. So anyway, the casting director says, I can set you up with a couple auditions, but if you don't do well, so it was like pressure. So I got called back, and then a call back for another one, and call back, and then I booked. It's like, oh, this worked out great. And then from there, I don't know how, I did stand up at the Comedy Store a little bit. I was horrible. My opening joke was, they say ballet is one of the most difficult things you can do. So I say, don't do it.
It's good. I like
you guys
that.
laughed way more than how many stories. No, I did. I would stand there in front of the mic for 4 minutes, maybe, which is an extremely long time.
Yeah.
And pantomime, like, thank you. Hey, it's good to see you.
Oh,
And the audience, right?
That's right.
That's great.
You cut your hair. Oh my God, how's the baby? And just ask certain specific people questions, but I didn't move my body.
Oh, that's great.
I had this really big pose, but I didn't move my body, and then I would point and then get back into the pose. Anyway, so stupid.
I like it.
And then I somehow got Billy's Hollywood Screen Kiss, which my agent was like, you auditioned for this independent film. Do you want to do it? I don't know. It pays like literally $75 a day or $25 a day or something like that. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing anything else. Like, yeah, I want to work.
Yeah.
So I did that. And then, 8 months later, Tommy O'Haver, the director's like, we got into Sundance. I'm like, what's Sundance? He's like, it's a good thing. I was like, okay. And that's when it was truly an independent film festival.
Yeah, you had to fly yourself
You
and
fly
stuff.
yourself
Yeah.
and no names. It was all breaking people,
Right.
And
This is like Sex Lies videotape era.
Yeah. And the same year mine was Darren Aronofsky. had
Oh, yeah, Pie.
Yeah. So that happened. And sitting in the audience of one of the screenings for Billy's Hollywood Screen Kiss was a casting director from NBC casting Will and Grace. And he said, we're looking for a Will. And I said, watch the movie. Maybe you found him. I don't know. And then he said, would you fly back? And I go, I don't have the money to change my flight to go back to LA to audition for something that may not, you know what I mean? It was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I want to stay here.
Yeah.
And so I stayed there and I got back. They'd found the brilliant, amazing Eric McCormick. And then they said, do you want to come in and read for the quote, the other guy? And so I said, yeah, I'll read it. And it was between me and Alexis Arquette, God rest his soul. He was such a good guy. And there it is. Here we are.
What year was that?
Still in the same sitcom, by the way.
The dream, by the way.
35 years later.
Oh my God. Yeah. So wait, what year did it start shooting?
1998. So I'd been here 3 years.
3 years.
2 years.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, I won the lottery.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. And just give me the historical context really quick.
I was 27, by the way,
You were 27.
when I did the pilot. Yeah.
Was that the first openly gay lead characters show?
Ellen's character is really the lead,
Okay.
that came out on that show. But then, of course, ABC, I can't remember, somebody, wherever it was, canceled the show famously, as you know, because of that. And then, there's a great quote that Max Muchnick, who created Will and Grace, said, Ellen opened the door and we knocked it down.
That's cool. And was it immediately a success?
Will
Did it like
Grace?
debut huge?
No, we were on Tuesday at 9:30 after Caroline in the City.
Not even a slot.
No, it was not a success at first, and then after the first season, they reran it over the summer like they used to do.
Right.
And the same thing happened to us that was happening with Friends, they said, which was people found it in the second season.
Oh.
And the reruns of the first season, and then it just became pretty
And then it became a hit.
Yeah.
And how many years was the first run?
8 years.
8 years. And you got nominated for how many Emmys?
I have no idea, 6 maybe?
And you won how many of them?
Just one.
Just one?
Yeah.
Was it exciting to win
Just
that?
one. I won one.
You won an Emmy.
Like, that was exciting.
That's infinite more Emmys than I have. Was it so exciting?
Yeah, my mom was there. That was nice. So she got to see some of that.
And you got to go, you went on Oprah.
I went on Oprah. Yeah.
Well,
So wait, no, I'm trying to think of my Emmy speech. When you say things, that's why, I'm fearful of this. I still have anxiety sitting here talking to you because we live in a world now where I don't know but I'm afraid to talk. Because you are now accountable for every single word you say. So I'm going to
or maybe even accountable in a whole other time space continuum. So in 10 years, what we say here could be dug up. And we could be murdered in 10 years by something that's evolved. That's a little fucking scary.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's why I'm going to drive home and think about everything I said and didn't say right. And if I offended somebody.
But maybe this will help you retire. Because I think you're going to have a very hard time retiring knowing you.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
maybe this will help.
That's
In
what-
8 years when this gets played and they kill us both, it'll be a blessing.
This is nice. I always say to Scotty, I don't necessarily want to die.
Okay.
But if I did, I'm okay to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think particularly because we've chosen comedy as a field,
Yeah.
it's incumbent upon you to be provocative and shake the tree. That's basically the whole point of it.
Right.
And
I'm
so,
trying to please too many people all the time.
yeah. And at some point in your life, you got to go, it's the Sean Hay show now.
I
The
know.
rest of it was for you guys.
You know what, Dax? That is so interesting. I would kill to be at that point right now.
I don't know what you're waiting for. No one's going to knock on your door and say
Because
it's time for the Sean Hay show. But let me tell you,
Because the things I think, and the things I want to say are not going to work.
yeah, but so you're in year now 3. You're about to go into year 3 of this new version, right?
Yeah,
so that makes 11 years. 11 years of making a great paycheck. Like, what would be the indicator for you that it's time to do it on your
mind.
Yes, and be
I don't know. I guess here's the thing. I talked to Scotty about that too. Is like, what mind would I speak? So maybe I'm talking out both sides of my mouth. Like, I can't wait to speak my mind, and then I go, oh, I don't really have anything to say.
Right.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
I like my tiny little life.
Yes, I think I'm more, it's not even really about what you're going to say. It's about when will you say to yourself, I am 100% fine exactly how I am, and you'll either love it or hate it, and that's on you, and I'm cool with the results of that. That's the thing I would want you to have.
I think I'm almost there. I still have this thing in my mind where I think I have to please a lot of people. Yeah, I don't know.
And I think the reason I end up always giving you unsolicited advice is because I think you and I are so similar in so many ways. So it's much easier for me to see or hear the racket that's going on in your brain because the same one goes down in mine.
I'm also like, and you find this too, you're also a different person around different people in your life.
Oh, for sure.
Right? So I am a version of me around you. You know, that is more, we talk deeper. Maybe not on this podcast, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Than most people.
I
don't go to such a silly place with you because I don't talk like this with anybody.
Well, I hope that you know I really have unconditional love for you. Like, I really just admire you and love who you are as a human being. So there's really nothing you're going to do or say that's going to make me reverse my position on who you are, Sean Hayes.
Yeah, thanks.
I'll chalk, even if you're bonkers, I'll go, oh, he had a weird day. I won't. Right. It won't be contempt. I won't go, oh, Sean's different than I thought he was.
Right.
I feel like I know who you are. Well, there's another funny hiccup you have that I have, which is like, you have to do everything.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're sitting around and you're like, I should be doing that too. For me, the voice is almost like, well, you're a lazy piece of shit if you don't, because you have this opportunity and people would kill for this opportunity. So fucking sit down and write or whatever the thing is. And you seem to have that as
totally.
And I often I take pleasure being around you because you have it even worse than me, which I like.
The only way is up then?
Because you'll do these Broadway shows and they fucking kill you.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
And you're excited for about a week when the romantic notion of doing some new one is in your head and you're whipped into a lather about it and drunk on the romantic fantasy you have of it.
Right.
And then quite quickly, the reality sets in, which is a ton of rehearsal, a ton of memorization, a ton of performances, of resting your voice. And I went and saw you with your Chenoweth musical.
Promises.
Can I
tell you something that Dax said is so funny? One of the funniest things you've ever said in your life to me was my mom. He knew my mom had Alzheimer's, and it was pretty intense then. I go, my mom's coming to see the show, and he goes, thank God it's called Promises.
That is good.
I'll get some hate letters about that, but I stand by that joke in the moment at the right time. I think you and I have had some of our best moments, like letting off the steam about these hard situations in life. One of them being your mother, who died in January, had Alzheimer's for years before she died. And you obviously are saddled with being probably in your family, the rock in many ways, because you're going to I assume you financially supported her. You have and so you have a role in your family for mom. It can be an oppressive mask to wear. You're talking to doctors, you're gathering the information, you're making pretty important decisions for her. And sometimes you need to go see your comedy buddy and make some Alzheimer's jokes, right?
Absolutely.
Just to keep yourself fucking sane. And there's something so cathartic about finding the humor in these scenarios.
Yeah, you have to, because all of a sudden the child becomes the parent. And
there's so many. Yes, my father, towards the end, I was caring for him as well. And some of my favorite moments are, at a certain point, he had to start wearing diapers, right? And I would change his diaper and I would say, come here, little baby. And I would tickle his stomach. I go, time to change your diaper. And I would totally just treat him like a tiny little baby.
What was his reaction?
He would be giggling. And there he was, a 300-pound baby laying on his back. And I'd be fucking changing his diaper. But I wouldn't just do it like, oh, we got to get through this. I'm like, dude, you know what? This blows for both of us. I think the last thing you want is your son to be changing your diaper. And the last thing I want to do is change his diaper. So I'm like, let's go all the way with this. Give him Gucci, Gucci, goo. I'd be like tickling his bare belly and shit. And
so funny.
fucking slime. Like, lift your ass up, man. Help me out here. You're wearing a fucking diaper. And we would have a damn good laugh at it, you know, because I don't know. What else are you going to do? Just let it own every aspect of your life. And
You have to. You're right. You have to go for it. You can't just half-ass it. No pun intended.
yeah. And then even when I just went through it again with my stepdad, like I had a role in that family. We all sat in the room. It was at the end and there's 6 of us. And I'm like, I know my role. It's time to make some jokes about this.
Yeah.
You know, this is rough. We need some levity here.
You have to. Yeah.
But would you ever feel guilty? Because you would make a lot of good jokes during the hardest Alzheimer's phase.
No, I think, you know, you look, I was in therapy about my mom for, I know what it was,
Here we go.
a long time. Okay, so this is from 2 hours ago when we were talking.
This is from
So
Monday.
excited.
When I was about 24 or 5, I started making goal lists. And I thought it was so cathartic. And I still preach about how it's very important. And 2 questions: what do you want? And what are you waiting for? Right? That's what I always ask people. Just specifically, what do you want? Do you want food right now? Are you hungry? Do you want tons of money? Do you want a great relationship? What do you want? So you have to write it down. And so I would write stream of conscious things down. I would like 50 things, and I would number them. 1 was eat better. 2, exercise. 3, call my mom more. 4, book 10 commercials this year. Or 5, be a household name in 5, like big, and then a section on it, I'd have lifetime goals, which was host Saturday Night Live, be on David Letterman, have a billboard with blah, 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 like career things that you think are important. And so my therapist said, I told him this, and he said, this is many, many years ago, don't tell me a catastrophe happened. And I go, what? And he goes, they all came true. Yeah. And I guess that's why I'm sitting here. A little bit of that, but I was going through it with my mom too. So once I went to therapy to deal with the death of my mom's soul, I guess, or spirit, her physical was still here. So I had to deal with the 2 deaths, right?
Yeah. Her consciousness and then
her physical body, right? And so that was really tough. That took about a year or 2 to get over, and crying, and it was rough. And then to your point, yes, it's great to make jokes after you heal from that death. Then while they're still physically here, I think it's okay, like you said, to find levity within these tragic moments. And then you have to deal a second time with the death, but it's not as rough because, it's a blessing that they go, because what is the point of being here? That's what I'm sorry, that's what I have a problem with, these right to death laws that are now slowly being passed in states. It's like, but they're not applied to people who have dementia, Alzheimer's, who are sitting in a bed 24 hours a day. Why are we keeping them alive? It makes me so angry. Yeah. They do not want to be here, and we do not want them to suffer. Yeah. And we are left to suffer, and so are they. So I want to try.
It's some weird Judeo-Christian
of course.
holdover.
It's all religious, but it's what purpose is it serving to anybody?
Yeah.
Makes me very angry.
The listing in the therapist saying, let me guess, a catastrophe happened, they all came true. In general, don't you think we all create a fantasy, and it's whatever it is, I'm going to be the president of this, I'm going to be a partner at the law firm. And when that happens, then I'll start enjoying life, or then I'll feel good about myself, or I'll have proven myself. And that you're somehow going to get some consensus. If you achieve some consensus from the outside, you might believe it yourself.
Well, here's the problem. I hear what you're saying. The thing is, once you accomplish what you've set out to accomplish, you have to now create new goals. You have to create a reason to get out of bed every morning. Because if you are content, what do you do all day?
Well, I personally work from a similar place where I'm motivated out of fear of failure, fear of irrelevance, fear of financial security. Right. I strive to work and be productive and creative out of a place of love and excitement. That's my goal.
Yeah, no, I get that. I do that too.
You do. I don't know if people know this about you, but you produce a lot of television shows. You have television shows on the air that you produce, and that is a labor-intensive, not generally that fun. It's not like acting where you're playing with another person. It's work producing it.
Yeah, I don't personally do all of it myself.
I know you have a great
Todd
partner,
Miller,
Todd.
incredible,
Yeah,
yeah.
Shady Acres. What is it? I always think
He
it
loves
is
to do that because it makes him feel bigger than me. It's called Hazy Mills Production.
Hazy Mills. You also will go do these Broadway shows. And they're so labor intensive, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They're really, really hard.
Makes you feel alive, I think.
Okay. And then and then you are on you do 22 episodes of Will and Grace?
18 this year.
18. So all of these are time consuming. Which one is the most fun? Which one do you think you would do if they said we're no longer paying you for it? Would you do any of them if they were no longer paying you for them?
If I was getting paid to do no film, TV, Broadway, producing anything,
Yeah.
I would go do sketch comedy with you.
Okay.
In a little theater for free.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Or open like an old gay man, open just like a tchotchke store.
Oh, okay.
like pillows.
Just rearrange
Or-
things on shelves all day long.
And like have a fake price tag gun. Just put that on there. No, or open like pillows and blankets. Just
Yeah.
or you sell pillows and blankets.
I
I
just-
bought pillowsandblankets.com, by the way.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, for like $5.
Oh, that's a website, a domain you own.
Yep.
Pillowsandblankets.com?
Pillows and blankets.
That's
Did
great.
you go to a store called Pillows and Blankets?
Yeah, I love pillows and blankets.
Who doesn't?
His brain is
Like
always
fancy ones.
always on his brain. If I have lunch with him, he's like, "Oh, and then I had this idea for a children's thing, and now I'm launching a magazine." And you have so many ideas.
And we just wrote a children's book. It's coming out in October.
I made some joke about that when you told me that too.
Yeah, I'm
because
sure.
you don't have children.
Right. Oh, that's
So it was like me writing a
Right.
book about how to raise storks.
well. I don't
or
have
something.
time to. I don't have time to have children, so I write books about them.
No, I'm sure you have a great perspective that kids could benefit from. But no, sincerely, I don't think you need to have that.
I love kids.
Yeah, I guess I want you to carve out a big chunk of your life for something you would do for free. I really want that for you.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting. I think I always say I like Vegas, and I always say like when I go to Vegas and I sit down at the blackjack table, I play 3, 4, 5 hands at one. If nobody's sitting there, I'll play all of those hands at one time, so at least one is in. So I'm always in the game, right?
Right.
And so I think that's why I do so many things, is because I enjoy being creative. So at lots of things.
I'm just wondering what the breakdown is if you had to assign percentages of how much of it is that you enjoy being in the game and how much of it is I need to secure a living for myself for the rest of my life.
I think it's everything.
It's all things.
I think because if I wasn't creating, I don't know what I would be doing.
Right. And you have a fear of that.
Yeah.
Could you see that as an exciting adventure?
What?
Like, I don't know what I'm going to do if I'm, say, retired.
Nothing scares me more.
Right. I know, which makes me think there's something there.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Is that what my prize is at the end of this podcast?
I tell you what you should be doing. Yes.
I would give anything.
Your heroes, is it fair to say that, what's his name's a mentor?
Marty Short.
Marty Short.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
What did I just do? Because people couldn't see it. I put my Ed Grimley's
Grimley, yeah.
bangs. I just did it with my hand, and you knew.
Marty and Steve Martin are both probably my two biggest.
Mentors.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting about both those guys as examples, they're both guys who at many times have walked away. Martin Short is one of we would agree, the funniest human beings to
Absolutely.
ever walk planet, right?
Yeah.
So without question, he could be acting all day long, every day if he chose.
Yeah, for sure. He is one of the most centered, grounded,
Yes.
focused, normal.
Comfortable in his own skin.
Yeah, all of it. He's
And
just
he
himself.
knows how to just be alive on planet Earth day to day in the moment. From the outside, it seems he doesn't feel like there's a clock ticking behind him at all times. He's just very present and having a blast and in a good mood. And so,
all the time.
do you think maybe that's one of the things you're drawn to about him?
Isn't that what everybody's drawn to about him? And don't you strive to have that like balance and serenity in your brain and your life?
Yes. And in AA, we have this saying where we say, find somebody who has what you want.
Right.
And figure out how to get it. Ask them how they got it.
Again, he's also another one where you go, as a gay man, you remember that book, Are You My Mother?
Oh, yeah.
One right when Are You My Father? In the opposite of that book, Are You My Mother? I live my life with what we were talking about before.
Are you my father?
Yeah, trying to seek his father figure. I'm always like, Marty, would be such a great. But there's also Jimmy Burrows. Is he my father? Like, there's so many guys in my life that I'm like would be great fathers.
All right, here's where I do this annoying thing that people get mad at me about doing. I'm going to do it to you anyways. Do you think having a little boy of your own could heal that?
I think his name is called Sean.
Sean's your little boy? You already have one?
My inner child. No, no, I don't. Look, no, I don't.
No,
know. Who
you don't
knows?
know.
I don't have the patience.
I think you do. You have those fucking, well, God rest their souls, they both passed. But you had a couple dogs.
Yeah.
That were bonkers.
Yeah.
Right? What were their cute names?
Maddie and Buzz.
Maddie and Buzz. And they were high strung, right? I mean, they barked and they ran in circles.
Nuts.
And they were nuts. They're sheep herding dogs.
Australian Shepherds, yeah.
Australian Shepherds. And the way you and Scotty cared for those little princesses.
Yeah. They were great.
I saw in 1 second, like, oh, this is a good home for someone who needs assistance to come.
Yeah.
You can get nurtured here.
I think I would. Like, neither one of us is 100% to have a kid. And so therefore, if Scotty was like, I definitely want a kid, I'd be on board.
Okay.
And he said the same. But
Right.
neither of us are like 100% on board.
But can I tell you something? There's never been parents in the history of mankind that were 100%. It's not you. It's like, how many people do we know, knuckleheads, who are like, I'm just not sure if this girl's the one. Yeah, she graduated from MIT. Yeah, she's the best doctor at Cedars-Sinai. She's a 10. But is she the one? And you just want to go, get the fuck over yourself. There isn't a one.
Right.
Just be with this person and work the shit out of it. Work it like a job, and she'll be the one.
Why do you want me to have kids so bad? Wait, there's a quote from a woman that I love, and she said, I'd rather regret not having kids than have them and regret it later.
Yep. And again, this is where I get in trouble because it's seen as like shaming people who don't have kids. And I don't mean to do that. What I mean to do is when I see somebody who has a ton to offer somebody and can help make this world better by raising some kids and who I've assessed as having the patience for a kid and the love for a kid and the generosity for a kid, I think you could help.
That's very sweet. I'm going to make you a deal.
Okay.
If I have a child and I put all the love and time and effort and money and all those sweat and tears into it,
Yeah.
and when that child becomes a teenager and decides to be a drug addict and set my house on fire,
Yeah.
can I give them to you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I have girls and I've always wanted to have a fight with my son, you know,
Okay.
like that old fashioned in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fought the passing of the torch.
Yeah, sure.
I'll be robbed of that
Yeah.
Midwestern tradition.
I just don't want to roll the dice and get a screwed up kid because I've seen like so many parents roll their eyes like, oh, don't have kids.
Yeah. I guess
know?
you see that. But I feel like a couple things could happen.
Okay.
One is you just can't talk your way into having the perspective of being a parent till you are one. And the amount of catharsis that happens with your own childhood, from my point of view, I'll give you the very quickest example. For 38 years, I was mad at my dad
Yeah.
and thought I was the victim, that he left and robbed me of a father. 6 months into having Lincoln, it hit me like a ton of bricks. If for some crazy scenario I end up missing 10 years of my daughter's lives, I won't recover. It'll kill me. It'll fucking absolutely kill me. Right. Whereas I did just fine missing 10 years of my dad's life.
Right.
So it's just weird how it flipped to me that I was the victim in the scenario, and then I realized he was the victim, and then all this catharsis and healing came out of that for me.
I agree with you. I think I'm there too about my dad.
Yeah.
I think he, of course, regrets like not having a relationship with me.
Yeah.
But I don't know him.
Right.
So I'd be like striking.
Bring him in, Monica. We have him. There he is.
But it'd be like having,
What if your dad walked in and he was holding a new baby?
but it would be like striking up a conversation with, my neighbor down the street. I don't,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Yeah.
How have you been?
All right. I want to publicly apologize for trying so hard to make this a therapy session where I bestowed onto you something that I thought was going to make your life better. I was relentless, and it was like, who am I to say all these things? I just love you so much.
I love you too. You want me to be a better person than I already am?
No, I do not. It has nothing to do with being a better
that's
person.
Not a bad thing
no,
I want for somebody.
I totally disagree. I want you to care less about what anyone thinks, whether people are happy. Only because you by your own admission have told me you have anxiety and you can't sleep and there's these things and I naturally want you to not have those things.
No, I know. I don't either, but I don't know how to do that.
Okay.
It's where I live.
Yeah, I have to let you go, but I do want to end on a positive note.
Okay.
Walk me through the emotional arc of the show coming back and where you are at today. Like,
so, we did that election video with about Hillary Clinton and about the election. Still got my fingers crossed, hoping it works out.
okay.
And they
seem to have a huge impact.
Yeah, exactly. But we truly, truly did it. The crew did it for free. We did it for free. Everybody did it for free just to get our message out in the way we knew how.
I don't know that everyone knows that. You did a video as Will and Grace, the whole cast.
Yeah.
And it became very viral.
Yes, it became that
Like an HPV or herpes. Very viral.
Yeah, very viral.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, we did it purely to get the message out. We hadn't been together in 11 years or 10 years or whatever it was. And we thought, it seems pretty important to hang up any kind of anything that we were feeling about the show and let's get together for it. I mean, we all wanted to.
Right.
And it was a great excuse to get our message out and also to see each other and also to do all this. So we did it, done, see you later. Oh my God, so good to see you. How have you been? Blah, 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 see you later.
At any point while filming that, did you go like, oh, this was really fun, I miss it?
Yeah, a little bit. Megan Mullally, she said to Max Muchnick, maybe we could do the show again. He goes, who knows, maybe we could. And so they kind of started the dialogue going because of that experience. And then what really hit home was the millions and millions and millions of views that
Video
got, and then that got the network talking and us talking more serious about it, and then here we are.
Here's what I'm wondering. Sometimes you do, like you have a project in your life and it takes up a lot of your life, the first go around, and you're complicated. You're young and you have aspirations and you see people doing other things and there's all these complications that can sometimes prevent you from enjoying what was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
And then after the fact, maybe 8 years later, you have a perspective of like, I think even Seinfeld said that. Like his only regret about Seinfeld is he wish he could have taken a breath and just enjoyed making that show. Did you at all re-enter it now, much older, going, oh, this time around I'm going to just enjoy it for what it is and stop thinking about it propelling me somewhere else?
Right, 100%. Yes, you do. You learn to appreciate it far more. It means something different now. And now it's more about, I'm so glad you said it because for me, it made me realize, nothing else matters other than the stuff that just I want to do, and I don't care about the result.
Yes.
You don't care about the result as much. You just care about the creative process and getting it out of your body and out of your brain and into the world, whether one person sees it or 10 million people see it. That's what it's about for me now. And
right, because when you're young,
care.
It's just 100% results.
Yep, you're right. And I don't care about the results, and I don't care anymore about... It's so funny pleasing people. I don't care about pleasing people with the product as much as when I say pleasing people, I meant me personally in life. Yeah. But as far as my creative endeavors, if it reaches 10 people or, I don't care. I don't care. And it's a wonderful place to work from. It's freeing.
If you enjoy the process, that can't be taken from you.
That's right. So I think success follows you when it comes from the heart and no other place.
Yes, and I am lucky enough that I can do stuff now just for the pleasure of doing it. Yeah. And I think you can too.
My only wish for you is that you did it a little better.
Yeah, I think everyone wishes that. I think that's a great note to go out on. Sean Hayes, I love you so much.
I love you too.
The only thing I feel like I should say is that I was fired from your show.
I know.
Which is my only firing experience of my life is I got offered to do a thing on your show last year. I'm fine with it now. It was a interesting feeling to get fired. The only thing I cared about is that you and I were involved. Like, had it been any other thing with a bunch of strangers, I would have been like, oh, whatever. I was at a table read for 45 minutes and then I got fired and who gives a shit?
I know. I almost don't remember. I mean, of course I remember it, but I most blocked it out because it was horrible that it happened, but I don't know. It's like it didn't, I don't know.
Yeah, the only thing was there was no anonymity to it for me. I knew many of the people at that table read. So I think that was maybe the only element of it that I was like, oh, that's kind of embarrassing. These are like people I know.
Yeah.
And then I got canned.
I can't believe they fired you. I cannot
pretty-
believe they fired you.
Over a year later, it's pretty funny. Go ahead,
And
Monica.
it's now, to me, it was clear why, right? Because Nick Offerman did the part. And that to me seemed like, oh,
Well, if you were going to hire Nick, you wouldn't hire me, that kind of thing?
well, they wanted him. They wanted a moment with
star.
him and his wife.
Okay.
If Kristen was doing something, they might do that to a person to get you to come on. Is my opinion.
I also might have
I
just
don't know the
sucked.
machinations of any of that.
Yeah.
you don't have to weigh in. That was my.
Yeah, and then it doesn't. It could be as simple as I was terrible at the table read, and that's fine. But that's the only time in being friends for 12 years where I was like, oh my God, now I feel like there's something awkward between us. Because you said to me, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I was like, oh Jesus, you should never be saying sorry to me in our whole friendship because you don't ever do anything wrong to me.
But I don't feel-
And you're not the
that's why-
creator of the show.
I guess that's why I blocked it out, because it has nothing to do with me or you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I was working it backstage all the time, behind the scenes.
Masterminding it.
I want to hire him and then fire him.
Yeah, in front of everyone. The only thing that could have been better is if they, at the end of the table read, they go, "You're fired." The only funny thing that come out of that story is I went to do the table read. Oh, I don't know, when do you guys do table reads? 10 in the morning?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, 10 in the morning, I go to the table read. I leave. I go, I don't think I did that good at that. Whatever. I go about my day. Then I get a call from my agent, and she calls up, she goes, hey, just wanted to say, like, you were so good in that movie. Like, so I had a screening of a movie, like, the week before.
told me that, yeah.
And she's like, oh, you were so good in that movie. And I go, oh, thanks. And she goes, yeah, the way you, blah, blah, blah. And she goes more about how good I was in a movie from a week ago. And when we're getting about 15 minutes into how good I am in this movie, all of a sudden something clicks where I go, oh, bad news is coming. And in the middle of her compliment parade, I go, oh, did I get fired from Will and Grace? And she goes, they are going another direction. And I was like, I knew it. Something stunk. You would not just call me to fluff my pillows for 15 minutes.
Right.
Oh,
Oh gosh, I'm sorry that happened, but
It's totally fine. Everything's great. And also, even more importantly, my daughter had something at school, and it was on the day I would have been doing the live show, and she was like graduating from, her little class in preschool. And I was like, oh, this all worked out exactly how it should.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And by the way, it would have tainted the show that we're going to do someday
That's right.
About-
People need fresh eyes.
about changing diapers and Alzheimer's.
Yeah, who wants to? Do you want to be the patient or the?
You wanna-
I should be the dad
Want
because
to
you
give
need.
or receive?
I would like to receive.
Okay.
Yeah. I want you to change my little diaper.
Okay, great.
A little baby. Gitchy goo. I love you, Sean Hayes.
I love you, Dax Shepard.
And now my favorite part of the show, the fact check with my soulmate, Monica Padman. Get facts, just do it. When you want to get to it, get facts, just do it. When you want to come. That's gnarly at the end there.
Yeah, it really gets stanky.
Why did it say that at the end of that song? Relax, don't do it. Oh, I guess they're saying to hold out.
I think.
Relax, don't do it. When you want to go to it, relax, don't do it. When you want to come. Oh my gosh, can it be that
is it that
pornographic?
sexual? I don't know.
Huh. I mean, I can't imagine it got on the airwaves there in the 80s with being that.
I don't think so. It must
Perverse.
mean something else.
We're not hindered by those cumbersome regulations on vulgarity, luckily.
Luckily, we're allowed to make it sexual and gross.
Yes.
Anywho, thanks
Anywho.
for that song.
Yeah. But don't relax. I want you to get
Perk
fired up.
Yeah. But I am relaxing because I have a blanket and it's cozy.
It's a little chilly here in Los Angeles as we approach the
So embarrassing.
favorite season of the year.
Oh,
There's reindeer on the roof.
oh my gosh, they're here.
On Dancer, on Prancer, on Vixen, on Blixen.
It's Christmas in here and it's cold, but it's not really cold. I feel really embarrassing. It's cold. It's like 70 degrees.
Yeah, saying that it's cold is really disrespectful to anyone on the East Coast in sub-zero temperatures. We have a little space heater going.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Oh, look at what the temperature is, Monica.
65.
Oh, from where
You
I'm
wanted it
at,
to be
it looked like 69.
Yeah, you wanted that.
Yeah. All right, well, let's clean it up. That's my second pervy thing, and I'm going to I'm going to right the ship now and
Okay.
get my head out of the gutter. But you do have a blanket, and you're also in a nice, thick, warm overall and a turtleneck and a long sleeve, and we have a space heater pointed at you, and it's 70 degrees outside.
Yeah, you adjust quickly to this weather that we have here in Los Angeles.
Yes, my skin got thin very quickly after moving to. Oh,
he's
they're
leaving.
All right, well, bye, guys.
We'll see him in a couple weeks.
Oh, yeah, hopefully they'll be back. Maybe they're just doing a little trial run to get their route down.
That would be smart. I assume they do that.
Should I address this thing that came out about me saying that our kids don't believe in Santa Claus? Is this the place to clear that up?
Sure.
First thing I want to say about that, I shouldn't have even admitted to that. I got caught off guard in an interview, and one of them was about, how excited my girls are for Santa Claus coming. Do I take them to see Santa Claus? And after about the fourth, I just was lying. Finally, I just said, you know what? They don't believe in Santa Claus.
Oh, wow.
There's been some angry parents online. The first thing I need to say, and you've been witness to this, the first thing is you are not allowed to ruin this for anybody else. Other
Yes.
kids believe in it,
Yep.
and you are absolutely forbidden to say anything to them.
Yep.
And I've seen it in practice because a lot of their friends believe in it, and they'll just watch them talk about all the different things that are going to happen. And they haven't spoiled it for anyone.
That's good.
So no threat to anyone else. Here's what happened for me. I explained the concept to her, and over the next month leading up to Christmas, this was last year, she just started poking holes in the logic, right? First it was, well, how does he go to every house? Then it was, how does he fit down the chimney? Then it was, why isn't the North Pole in the map? All these different things. And I was going along, going with the standard lies you tell to head that off. And then I just saw at a certain point, I was just looking at her little face, and she had this critical mind that was finding holes in the logic. And I was basically forcing her to ignore her critical thinking.
Yeah.
And then I jogged my own memory. I don't ever really remember believing. And yet I love Christmas.
Yes.
I've had 42 wonderful Christmases. I also thought, is Christmas about Santa, whether or not he's a real guy? No, it's about getting together with your family and showering them with love and affection and presents.
Yeah.
That's what's great about Christmas, all the decorations. Mm-hmm. Anywho, so yeah, that's what happened, and I understand if you're mad at us, but it's just my decision that I just at a certain point I couldn't just keep telling her to ignore that clever little part of her brain that was calling bullshit.
Are they mad because their kids heard you say this, or are they mad? Why are they mad?
Well, one gentleman on Twitter went so far as to say, that I said every parent's lying to their kids. Well, I haven't said a single thing about other parents. Yeah. I'm just saying my own experience. Mm-hmm. I'm very happy for everyone to do it. I have zero judgment. I don't want anyone to do what I'm doing. I'm not trying to do what anyone else is doing. Couldn't be less judgmental about what you do with your kids.
Yeah. Everyone,
I don't care.
Yeah, everyone's going to do what they want to do. And they should do that.
I just thought, here's this. I'm seeing the best part of her brain at work, her critical thinking, and I'm going to silence that for what victory? What's it getting? They're still so excited about Christmas.
Yeah.
They're still just as excited to get presents. Mm-hmm. Oh, another thing she said, I remember this one really unraveled. She had asked Santa for a present, and then Santa had come to our house, but then we went to Grandma's house in Oregon, and one of the presents she told Santa was under that tree. And she's like, wait a minute. How did this, he already came and what did he tell Grandma to get this thing? And now the lie I was going to have to come up with was going to be so elaborate. I was just like, what am I doing?
I think parents generally, they almost, they like mirror God onto Santa. Like they make Santa like omniscient and just has the ability to know everything at all times and can adjust. And
well, he knows when you're sleeping, naughty or nice.
He does. He knows everything. So he's
God.
He is. So if the present appeared somewhere else, it's just like, oh well, yeah, yep. This Santa knows. Santa knew we were coming here. Like there's all these.
Yeah.
There's all these shortcuts by just making Santa someone who knows everything.
Yeah, and then you're at the mall, you see a turkey dressed as old Saint Nick, and then you leave the mall and there's a turkey also dressed as him ringing a bell for Salvation Army. Then you see 3, 4 more on the way home. How are you? It just.
I know.
If
It's
it
a
were
lot.
literally just about saying, "Oh, this guy comes in," and that was the end of the line, I could definitely have just dealt with that. But when it gets into like the teens, where I'm like daily, hourly,
Yeah, I know.
I just. What's really funny though is one time we went out to eat with Sam Harris, and he was saying they told their kids that
Santa wasn't real.
I'm even reluctant to talk about this out loud in case someone's listening and there's a kid in their car. That's how scared I am.
that
The
is
stakes are so high.
bad. Yeah.
Yes. Oh boy. And I gotta say, when he was telling us, Chris and I were shocked. We're like, "Oh, get over it. You can have one lie to make Christmas fun." We were very judgmental
you
of him.
were?
Yes. So I totally understand people being judgmental of me. We're like, "Come on, dude. I know you're all about honesty and stuff, but you can fib one time."
Well, it depends on each kid. It's not.
Yeah.
It's just dependent on the kid and the parents and that relationship. It's not bad to believe in Santa. I think it was so fun. It really was so
Yeah,
fun.
that's great.
I mean, mine got ruined. My Jewish friend ruined it.
Oh, of course. Same Jewish friend you were going to call about the...
No, different Jewish friend.
Okay, good. So you have more than one. Well, what's really funny, though, is that the littler girl, the 3-year-old, she knows, yet she doesn't know. She knows, yet she still believes in him, which is awesome.
I don't think she knows.
We pulled into Eric's house this weekend, and the song was on the radio. He knows when you've been sleeping. He knows when you're awake. And all of a sudden, she goes from the backseat, "Daddy, he knows when we're awake." And I'm like, "Yeah, he knows." I'm like, I don't even know what that meant to
I
her.
want her to believe for a long time.
Yeah, she seems to believe, even though.
She's so funny and fun.
Yeah, she's engaging a different part of her mind than
She
her
is.
critical.
She is, which is also important to do.
She's queen imagination.
She is.
And the other one's just the facts, miss.
Well, there's a really good, everyone probably already knows about this, but there's a really good This American Life. There's like a whole episode about Christmas and Santa, and there's one very specific story that people should go listen to, that they're this family and the parents were like super gung-ho about Santa being real.
Okay.
And they would create these elaborate schemes basically to trick the kids into thinking it. And then like the aftermath of when they found out that he wasn't real, and like trauma, like some like PTSD for real. It's really interesting.
I think that's great, though. I think if you're willing to try to crawl down your own chimney and stuff to perpetuate it, I think it's great.
But except when you believe so deeply in something in like an unwavering sense, and then that gets shattered, that is traumatic. And we're just saying Santa here because that's what we're talking about. But in general in life,
when people lose their faith,
it's horrible. I mean, you run a risk of this being like that for kids or whenever they realize.
Well, yeah, the cynical side of me is like, oh, this is all baked into the strategy. It's like you introduce them to a concept early on, just believe without proof, and you're going to find all these loopholes, but just ignore those because your parents said so. And it just kind of primes the pump for, other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, no disrespect to anyone.
No, and Santa's great.
I think, I'm envious of people who are religious. It seems to me, certain friends of mine, it seems like a better way to live.
Well,
it's not for me,
not
but
better. Why better?
Well, because they seem happier, more fulfilled.
Well, we don't know. They seem very happy, but I don't know that their happiness and their contentment comes from that.
Let me rephrase it. I have friends that I can see that they have Jesus in their heart, and it looks good. Like, I would love to feel that in my heart.
But you have other stuff in your heart.
Yeah.
That looks good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start. Oh, first of all, I think that you guys, Sean, you guys have such a nice relationship.
Oh,
And it's
thank you.
Sweet and cute.
I really love my relationship with him.
Yeah.
He is really the sweetest boy. I think I probably said it, but for me, it was pretty much love at first sight.
Okay, so he talks about the opera a little bit, and we were wondering what percentage of operas are Italian. I found one number that was 41%,
Okay.
but I don't know how accurate that is. There wasn't very many numbers on it. 41% is the number I saw, but it was born in Italy, opera.
I
Started
just
in
remember someone telling me if it's not in Italian, it's not opera, it's something else. Again, now this will be the second time I'm wrong about this, but someone did tell me that.
No, I don't like it's not champagne if it's not made in Champagne,
Exactly,
France.
exactly. That
Yeah,
exact thing.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But maybe, but I don't think so. Donald Trump is
Donald J. Trump.
Donald J. Trump is 6'3".
Dang, G.
I know. He's tall.
That boy's got height.
No. Kind of started liking him after I
Yeah.
read that.
Those shoulders must be broad as hell.
I mean, but it's interesting that he's 6'3".
'Cause his hands might be normal size. Now when we think about it, it's just a proportional thing.
Yeah. But it makes sense. Like, his presence is big.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He clearly has a presence.
Yeah. And I'm sure that is part of it. Like, his
intimidating.
physical presence is large. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that's all part of it. It's interesting. I thought he was like 5'11".
Well, and we don't really talk about it often, but height privilege is a real thing. Like, if you're a taller dude, you're going to get taken more serious all the time.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, are you going to get taken more seriously, or are you just...
Well, up to a certain point.
Yeah.
After that, you look like a fucking giraffe, and people are just like, oh, man, look at that freak. It's probably not helpful then. Right. I wonder what the cutoff is. I'm going to say my height.
No, don't say that. We have a friend who's much taller than you.
I know, and I think if Jess came in for an interview, you'd be like, look at this. You'd be so distracted with how tall. I think it might be a disservice to him.
To be so tall?
He's so tall.
He is.
Like, when you first meet him, all you can think about is how tall he is.
I know, but I don't think that's a disservice. I think that's a cool thing that makes you stand out, no pun intended.
Well, intend that pun. Why not?
Because you always remember, oh, Jess, that my tall friend, and then it's like, oh yeah, that guy.
Sure.
He has a lot of things like that, red hair and tall.
He does, but I guess this like kind of thing where it imbues a sense of confidence and leadership and all those things. I think at a certain height it starts breaking down where you're like, that guy might be too tall. Can a heart support that kind of
You start
frame?
taking
He's like is he a mutation?
Well, he is,
Like,
because
when
he has
you
red hair. He has a lot of mutations.
He does have a lot of mutations. That's why he's so goddamn special.
Yeah.
But when you see the pictures of Waldo, the guy in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Oh.
No, not Where's Waldo. He's very average height. But the Waldo from the Guinness Book of World Record, who's the tallest man ever. I think he was like 8'11" or something. When you see a picture of that guy, your first thought isn't like he should lead us into battle. It's like that guy needs a chair.
Right.
We got to get him get him off his feet. This is
true.
not healthy.
That's
I'm
true.
worried about him.
But what about basketball players? We're not worried about them, and they're very tall.
I worry about some of them.
You do?
The centers, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, especially like the white centers. Oh. Some of these white centers, I think, do they have acromegaly? That disorder where you have a tumor on your pituitary gland, like Andre the Giant had. Mm-hmm. Now, when I see Shaq, I don't think that at all because he's so he's muscular.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't look, it looks right. But some of these other folks, I was worried about their heart and stuff.
Okay. Well, that's nice of you to care so much.
You don't see a lot of tall. I always point this out to you. This is why I think I'm going to die in my 60s because you don't see any grandpas at like 6'3".
Right.
You never see it.
We already discussed this. You shrink.
I don't think you could shrink that much.
Well,
Like, how much is Jess going to shrink? You think Jess is ever going to be 6'1"?
Yeah. I think he's going to get down to 5'5".
No, he's going to stay this height till about 59 years old. And then we're going to get a tragic
How dare
call.
you? No. You shrink some, and then you also, your back, you get
bend over.
scoliosis.
Okay.
So all adds up to being many, many inches shorter.
Yeah, but you don't. Well, we just lost George Bush Sr. Rest in peace. He, I believe, was pretty tall even as a grandpa. He's like one of the few people I have to look towards as a,
Okay. I stand by shrinking and scoliosis, though.
Okay.
Okay. What network was Ellen on when it got canceled because of the episode where she comes out? That was ABC.
ABC.
Sean was nominated for 7 Emmys.
Oh my gosh.
I know. He couldn't remember.
What a pig.
I know.
What a pig.
I know. He deserved it, though.
I've heard about
Deserves.
people taking themselves out of, like, I think
The
it used to be.
running?
Well, it used to be, maybe it's still the same. They actually have to submit. So if you don't submit.
You do have to submit, yeah.
Yeah, I want to say Tommy Schlamme because he won like 7 years in a row for West Wing, Best Director. And he started feeling self-conscious about it. And I think he stopped submitting.
Oh, that's my dream.
Yes.
To be winning so much that you have to say, I'm just so self-conscious about winning so much. And I just got to
Yeah.
take myself out of the running.
Oh, what a great segue. So I've never gotten first place in my life, I don't think. I was really going through my memory, and I don't think I've ever gotten first place at anything.
Okay.
And this year, you, Wobby Wob, and me got most downloaded new podcast of 2018, which was a gigantic, exciting revelation.
That's right.
That I feel so grateful for.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that I really wanted to publicly thank some of our earlier guests that really helped get us on the map.
Yeah. Everyone who came on helped us.
Yeah.
Because that our show is good because of our guests.
That's true. Those folks really helped us launch big. And they had never heard it. It could have been the worst show in the world, and they kind of on blind faith took a chance. So,
Yeah. Thanks to everyone.
yeah, thanks, everybody.
Congrats on your number 1.
Our number one.
Well, yeah, but I've been number 1 before.
Oh, that's right. You're
So-
right. I see what you're saying. Yeah. I'm glad you pointed that out.
Oh, okay. What are the right to die states? What do you think they are?
Oregon.
California.
It is?
Yeah, I was surprised too.
Oh, that's great news.
Assisted suicide, assisted death is legal in Washington, D.C. and the states of California, Colorado, Oregon, Vermont, Hawaii, and Washington. Its status is disputed in Montana.
Okay.
Cool. I guess because we talk in our Policy Genius ad, you asked me how you think I'm going to die. So maybe I'll die through assisted death. Maybe you'll kill me.
Okay. Look, if you ask me to, if you put me in your death plan, I'll be there for you.
Okay.
In the 9,000 to 1 chance I live longer than you, we'll do that.
Okay. I told you once about this questionnaire about intimate, this like 30 something questions to increase intimacy. And one of them is, do you have a sense of how you're going to die? That was one of the questions. And I played this at a dinner party. We went through all the questions, and my best friend immediately said that she thought she was going to get hit by a car. And she was so
Adamant?
like she was just confident, like that's what it is. And then for weeks after, every time I was walking down the street, I kept thinking about her getting hit by a car, and I did not like that.
Well, and here is the great paradox of both you and I, which is you don't believe in any kind of intelligent designer of the universe or Saint Nick, yet you have a lot of weird superstitions that clearly someone would have to be
In charge of.
Yes.
Yeah. I know.
That being one of them, or even me saying I'm going to die in my 60s. You think I'm jinxing myself and I
like when
might
you say
die,
that.
but I don't think that can happen.
But I don't believe in somebody orchestrating all of this, but I do believe that where you place your energy can come back to you. Like, it's happened to me all the time.
That's true. You're talking about manifesting your destiny.
Yeah, it happens a lot.
I agree with that.
So I
And
get
that again,
nervous.
that's another loophole in my,
But I don't think it
thinking we're
has to
alone.
do with like a person listening and then bring it all back around. It's just, I think when you put your energy into something mentally, subconsciously, you start doing things to get there. And you're not really aware that that's happening. But
And avoiding
is.
roadblocks and stuff. Could you use your new squinty face that we've been practicing? Monica and I noticed that a lot of people, when they squint, they expose their teeth really far and almost do an overbite.
Yeah.
Like when they're really looking at and we've been trying to
And they squint
do
their
that
eyes
more.
when they lift their nose
Yeah.
and their teeth are exposed.
And then they kind of drop their mandible back. And it's you give yourself buck teeth.
Yeah. Kind
Quite
of
a
a
look.
double chin.
It's quite a look.
Yeah, it is. Okay, just real quick. Towards the end, you say, I don't really remember the context, but you say that you have a lot of knucklehead friends who say, like, I'm dating this girl and she's a 10 and she's this and she's that, but I'm not really sure. And then you say, well, you just gotta just decide, and then that's what it is. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I agree.
Oh, okay. That's good. You dissent.
I dissent on that a little bit. I think. I just think you should be pretty sure before you pull the trigger on a lifelong relationship.
But I believe that'll be revealed if you treat it like a lifetime relationship, and that'll be revealed. But evaluating prevents you from fully committing, which actually prevents you from actually knowing what the person's like when they feel safe and confident in their best self. So you're evaluating someone who you've not given that security to. So how on earth can you evaluate that person?
That's true. But
My other example is you drop any two people on a deserted island,
yeah,
they're gonna be in love and be partners eventually.
I know. I don't think that.
I think you'd come to love them. Yeah.
I think you might come to love them, but I don't think you would come to romance.
Come to come. You don't think you come to come?
Well, good. We circle back around to something gross.
Yeah. Well, look, it's like the example of that even in prison, the option between solitary confinement versus being buddies with a bunch of rapists and murderers, it's still way more appealing to be buddies with rapists and murderers.
Companionship, yes. I think we seek that all, and we will find it.
I think it's our lifeblood is
yes,
companionship.
me too. But that's not necessarily the same as romantic. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's what you
It's your
prioritize in a
grandparents.
relationship.
Your grandparents
I know.
were arranged.
Yeah.
And they loved each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they love each other now.
Yeah. But I just think that the endless evaluating of is this the perfect person? I just think that people generally walk around with this romantic notion that there's a perfect person, which I just think is horseshit. I think you find someone that's got some values that you have, that you think would be a nurturing, loving partner, and you decide to make a go of it together, and then you work out all the details.
But don't
as
you
they
think
come
you have
up.
to be attracted to that person? Like, there are so many people who I think are wonderful and great, and I'm not
I can
attracted
tell you this.
to them.
I had girlfriends that I was way more attracted to than Kristen when we got together, but I had a different priority list when we got together. And then lo and behold, in the other relationships where the attraction actually dissipated, in her and I's relationship, the attraction grew. Mm-hmm. So it's all backwards and counterintuitive to me.
Yeah.
Just in my experience.
Yeah. Anywho, that's all.
That was it?
Yeah. Well, one thing happened on Instagram last week. Somebody, I'm really embarrassed because I don't really respond to comments. Armchairs, I don't respond to comments very often. So don't get your feelings hurt if I'm not responding. But what happened is, and I'll be honest here,
Okay.
I accidentally posted Jonathan Haidt on my Instagram.
Oh, interesting.
Because I post for our Armchair Expert Instagram.
Yeah.
And I also, sorry guys, I also have access to Kristen Bell's Instagram. So I have 3 Instagram accounts on my Instagram.
That's
And
confusing.
Sometimes.
Why don't
things-
you post our episodes on hers? Really go through the roof.
I should. And So the morning that I was supposed to post on Armchair Expert, I accidentally posted on mine. And when I figured it out, it was too late. I already had about 1,000 likes.
Okay.
So I said, all right, I'll just keep it and then I'll add to ours. But because of that, I saw a comment on mine.
Yeah.
And it said, it said something along the lines of, I wish there were more facts, or you stuck more to the facts, and it feels like you've been attacking Dax.
Oh,
Yeah.
someone's being defensive of me? Oh, boy. Okay.
Yeah. And then I responded, and I'm upset that I responded. I mean, look, this person seems lovely and nice. It's fine that I responded to her, but I don't like that I responded to the one comment
Bad
that I
one.
thought was negative.
The negative one. Yep.
Yeah, because everyone was saying all kinds of nice stuff, and then I responded to that one.
I fall into that trap pretty often, too. I'm not as much anymore, but it used to be a real problem of mine.
I don't normally.
Yeah, but you know that you love me and you want to clear up right away that you wouldn't be attacking me, I'm sure. It feels really
Exactly.
important. But while you were telling that story, it occurred to me what an idiot I am. Here I was thanking those people who were guests on our show. What an idiot I am. I need to thank, first and foremost, Armcharies. All the people listening to this gave us
They're the
this.
reason. They're the reason we have it.
They
yeah.
gave us this.
Yeah.
The Armcharies gave us this.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for the
I
Armcharies.
know.
What
Me
a
too.
jerk I was that should have been my very first thank you.
It's okay.
All right. Well, I apologize and I'm very grateful. And
And do you feel attacked?
no, I don't feel like you're attacking me. I feel like you and I have different opinions sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that we do. And it's not an attack to bring up a counterpoint
No.
to an
It's more of an
opinion.
assault.
Okay, that's all then.
All right.
Yeah.
I love you.
Love you.
Oh, wait a minute. Look who's returning.
Do you think they dropped their scarf or something?
Someone left their phone on the roof.
Oh, yeah, sure.